It is my great pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me. I on the one hand, I want to make sure that you continue to run as independently and community focused as possible, but it's my pleasure to speak to you today because I think that it gives me a chance to kind of introduce myself and talk a little more about what we're doing at Acumatica, and hope that you can continue to engage with us sort of in the coming quarters and months. Just briefly, I want to say thank you for the warm welcome. I've been here now at Acumatica about 6 months, and it's been a very interesting, compelling, tiring, fascinating 6 months. And I think the warm welcome I've received from people all around, the company, customers, partners, industry experts, et cetera, has been tremendous. And I think that that's been a real testament to the company and the community that's been built. Just briefly, my background, I spent the last 5 years as the CEO of a different SaaS software company, also very channel centric. Had nothing to do with ERP, except that ironically, I was an Acumatica customer. So when I was thinking about my next job, and I was talking to Acumatica about what their plans were, I had this perspective on the company as a customer that might have been different from others that were going through that process with them, and talking about what impact it had on my business, so what impact it had on my team. And so it's fun. It's been very fun to sort of bring that experience, that exposure to Acumatica, to the company, and sort of see what everyone else is going through, which I find fascinating. So in the last 6 months, kind of what have I learned and what have I been doing? Well, I did a big travel, sort of intro and visited most of our international offices and obviously all of our people whenever I can, but also went through a whole set of discussions with customers and partners that I hadn't met. I met a lot of people that had a lot to say about the product. And the first thing that strikes me is sort of how strong the community is. I mean, this event, this group is one piece of evidence of that, but it's just the one piece. But there is this sort of family, this ecosystem that has this real kind of purpose around Acumatica and what it's trying to do. And so, I think that to me is really, really refreshing and compelling. And you don't see a lot of software businesses for which that's the case. And so that was a great experience to sort of see that and learn that. And that shared purpose is very compelling also. It's this idea that we are building real solutions for customers. There's this joint responsibility, this sort of joint shared purpose. And we aren't building software in a hypothetical environment. Like, we are really the back office for companies of all sizes and types who really have real world problems to solve. And for me, that is a really fun, fascinating, interesting place to be. And again, I can speak to that a bit from my experience as a customer. I had no other ERP background before starting in Acumatica, so it's been a huge crash course. But I think that's been, again, fascinating, and I can't wait to see what the next couple of years brings with that opportunity. And so just a couple other quick things before I move into other slide content. The state of the industry I find really interesting. I think there is this perspective that it's a massive opportunity, and I'll talk about that in a second, but also that there's all kinds of interesting challenges and roadblocks and legacy problems and all this kind of stuff. And the industry itself, ERP, is very different than other SaaS businesses. We're still, owning and maintaining huge volumes of data. We still do frequent upgrades. We still do all these things that I would say fit ERP. And so I've had to really kind of bend my mind to this idea that we're in an ERP space, and some parts of it are true SaaS and some parts aren't. I think it's a very interesting process for us to go through together as a group. And I do think that we are on a very rapid growth pace. And I think that's one of the things that attracted me to Acumatica, and I think you feel it. This community is going to get bigger and bigger. We think just in North America alone, there's several 100,000 small, medium-sized enterprises that fit our target kind of customer zone of size and type. We think that could be as much as $3 to $5 billion of future software investment that will come from those companies as they slowly migrate to the cloud. We think our target market's less than 20% cloud penetrated. So the reality is, what's been a rapid growth phase is going to continue, perhaps for the next decade, as companies slowly move off of the things that they're currently doing. And we need everybody, on that road. We everybody here, everybody in our partner group, which we're completely committed to, the users that help educate others. It's going to stretch us and stretch us and stretch us, and it'll be very interesting to see how we as a group grow into that opportunity, which I'm very excited to lead and be a part of. So anyway, thank you for that. Thanks for the introduction and the welcome. And so let me turn now to some kind of things that I would explain where we are with Acumatica and what we're doing. And one of the first things I tried to do was pull together sort of a view of the company and the product. so I could explain it to people that maybe were thinking about us differently and who we are and what defines us. I think this will resonate with a lot of you. I believe that Acumatica, the cloud ERP, is the best business management solution for small, medium enterprises. I think we deliver unparalleled value to a certain type of organization, and that organization is thinking about the digital economy in a different way maybe than they were a decade ago. And we do it with our VAR ecosystem and the ISVs that connect to it, and a platform for open architecture. And all that starts with our product. And so one of the things you may not know, the Acumatica product itself, started with a general business edition. And for many years, that was the vast majority of the customers were on the general business, 85, 90%. Well, in the last couple of years, that's dramatically flipped. And now the industry editions, construction, manufacturing, distribution, and retail commerce, are more than 80% of our business. And that's actually going more and more that direction. And I think that's a very interesting, knowledge to have. Like, why is that? Well, it's because we've been able to build purpose-built specific platforms for companies trying to solve their specific problems in those ecosystems. And those 4 editions have tons of room to grow, tons of room to get deeper, get targeted into specific types of things like manufacturing. We think for us that is a huge wave of opportunity that we want to come on with you together around sort of Acumatica and those editions. In addition to that, of course, we have this open platform, and we have ISVs of all sizes and types. Some of the biggest ISVs in the world, some very small ones that just do things for Acumatica that in most cases build on our platform, our XRP platform, but in many cases are also just building connectors to share data. And that group is growing rapidly. Every quarter we're adding dozens of new ISVs, and we think that's a huge part of our future, where a company that's thinking about Acumatica versus other players can say, well, are the things I use, are they there? And that platform for us is kind of our lifeblood. And so we have this whole set of integrations that will run, again, all sizes and types. And then below all that, or next to all that, is this relentless commitment to the customer. And we were the first to have a Bill of Rights. I'm working on other things around the Bill of Rights that I think matter. But what it reflects to me or represents to me is this idea that customers want to know, they want predictability, they want to know what's coming, they want to know who they're working with. And we want to be there for those customers. And we don't want to, pull things, over their eyes. We don't want to persuade them on something that isn't true. And for us, everything we say in the Bill of Rights is still valid. I'm hoping one day to have one, for example, for partners that's separate. I want to have a partner Bill of Rights, something we're working on. But the idea that we want to put those things on paper and commit to those things for our future is a big part of who we are as a company. And we hope you feel that when you use the product and when you try to do new things. And then that's been recognized very, very heavily. We get, constantly, I'm amazed by the things that come out of the industry, analysts, press, other awards. I'll talk some more about that later. But that platform, that ISV set, and that commitment to the customer, it has become something that really the industry recognizes. And there's this joint feeling that people want us to win. They see Acumatica as a better solution. They see the community as a place where that lives, and they want us to win. And that's a very fun, again, interesting place to be when you're kind of going through the growth path that we're on. One other question I get a lot is, where do these customers come from and what are they doing? And this may surprise none of you, but it was interesting to me to think about it. And our customers, those of you that are here, the partners that we work with see this every day. There's really 2 types of company that end up looking at Acumatica. There's the one that's an SME business that has a long-standing legacy ERP. And I put a couple examples here. I don't need to get into any of those, obviously, but there's a long-standing history with some of these companies, decades of being an ERP player. And you get customers that said, I've been using whatever publisher for the last 25 years, et cetera, et cetera. Now's the time for me to think about something new. There's this legacy system. Those legacy systems, no one has built a successful, real upgrade to the cloud. No one's come around and said, we have a seamless way of taking your data and your process out of one of these old legacy platforms into our new cloud platform. And so that's one of the reasons that people come to us. And the second type is, I would say, scaling businesses, digital often, that are rapidly outgrowing the solution they're in. This is, QuickBooks to me is the predominant one of those. A huge percentage of our new customers every quarter are coming off of QuickBooks. And that's a totally different kind of project, because they're growing out of what they had. They hadn't thought about kind of true end-to-end financial management. They maybe had a bookkeeper, et cetera. And now they're saying, okay, I need to build a true end-to-end ERP and map my process and understand my data. And I think that's a rapidly growing part of our business, and one that I think we'll invest in more and more in the coming quarters as we think about all those customers coming to us from one of those kind of, I would say, low-end accounting, bookkeeping solutions. And then who do we compete against? I mean, this is obvious, I think, to many of you, but certainly, the big three, sort of NetSuite, Dynamics, and Intact. But again, we go head to head with them, and we win deals against them on an hourly basis.
Yeah, I was just pointing out that we had done some interesting brand marketing recently. We sponsored a couple race teams over the last month. One was the Peretta racing team, owned by Beth Peretta, driven by Simona Di Silvestro in IndyCar, the only sort of women-owned, women-driven race team in IndyCar. That's been a very interesting learning experience. And then this past weekend, we actually sponsored Denny Hamlin of Joe Gibbs Racing at Kansas City Motor Speedway. He actually finished second. And we got some great, interesting kind of results out of that. And so we'll continue to dabble in these brand marketing partnerships, but it's been very fun to get to know these drivers and these race team owners, and sort of talking about Acumatica and have them on our team. And I expect to see more of that from us sort of in the coming weeks and months. And then briefly, I want to talk about sort of ways you can keep engaging with us. You may or may not know, next week, I believe it's Thursday, the 22nd, we have our R2 virtual event. And we're excited about our R2 release. I think we have some things that are really cool in it that are going to be an interesting set of product results for you. Some of it's certainly on the usability side, which we think is important. Some of it's certainly on sort of geographic boundaries. Customers keep asking for more and more help with that. But we're also getting better and better at targeting these micro verticals I was talking about. So if you actually look at the highlights for what's in that product, and I won't go through all of this, but the reality is we have a lot coming. I mean, it's not a small release. It's a pretty big release. A lot of value across lots of different types of industries. And, a combination of both new features as well as sort of enhancements or improvements to existing features to make them more flexible and capable of use in the real world. So just a few things I'll flag. One, for example, the engineering workbench and manufacturing. I think that's one we've got a lot of good kind of feedback on from manufacturing customers. The progress worksheets in construction, unit-based project tracking. That's something we've been asked for a lot, and we're delivering. We're excited about. In retail commerce, we're actually putting the ability to do offline orders in Shopify, which is something we've been asked for a lot. And I think we'll build that out, with more providers and more solutions over time. And in distribution, we have new ways of tracking inventory turnover. And that's a KPI we had asked for a lot. So these are kinds of things we're building. It's not just about these new features. It's about kind of the whole release. And again, I encourage you to join in with us next Thursday to hear more about that. That registration's open. When that event's over, we'll start taking registrations for our summit. And, Summit was the first day I was part of Acumatica. I came and was there behind the scenes watching it, learning. I'm very excited about our Summit 2023. I know many of you have come consistently to that. These are the dates at the Wynn in Las Vegas. I think we'll be there for the next few years at least. And this will be our 12th Summit. And we think it'll be somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 people. So it'll be by far the biggest one we've had. And again, registration for that will open when the R2 event is over. So hope you can participate and join us for that. I look forward to meeting many of you when we're there. And so that's all the content I had for today. And again, I apologize for the snafu on the audio video. Hope that we can find a way of either cobbling this together or again, I'll re-record it. But I'll close with this idea that, I think that Acumatica is at a really exciting place in the industry at this time. And, I think the next 3 or 4 years, the market's going to be made on cloud ERP. And, we'll be a huge part of that. And the community, we couldn't do it without the community. And for us, this idea that our channel, our partners, our ISVs, our VARs, our users are helping each other, I think is one of the things that will really separate us from that competition. So I thank you for the chance to participate. And again, I thank you for the invitation. And I hope that we can cobble together the video in a way that works. And look forward to meeting as many of you as possible in the coming weeks and months. Thanks again.